session while they do the projection. So I'm going to be talking about collaboration as a key to success in building open source communities. I am Amarachi Johnson Ubah, and I'm going to be introducing myself in the next couple of slides. But first of all, I want to share a story around collaboration. Um, my earliest memory of collaboration was when we were very little as kids, and we used to do a kind of food play where every child goes to their mother's kitchens and we all contribute ingredients from our mother's kitchen to prepare what we used to think was the most delicious meal we've ever had. I don't know if anybody played those food games. So this person goes to their house, gets crayfish, this other person gets this, and then we all come together and cook our very tasty children food. So this was a vivid example of collaboration. Remember that if one child had decided to cook that meal alone, they would probably have pepper, but they wouldn't have salt. So we all came together contributing the different things that we had. So that is the way I view collaboration. And all of us here at some point in our lives have collaborated. We've been able to do things we normally wouldn't have done alone, but through collaboration, we were able to gather people and work with them to build that. In Oscar Fest, the festival currently going on, a lot of collaborations happened at the back end, and that is why we're having this beautiful experience we have today. So this was collaboration in action. And there is something I saw on a blog I was reading some time ago, and it says that no open source community can thrive without collaboration, and I agree to that so much. So I'm going to now introduce myself. A lot of people don't know me. I am Amarachi Johnson Ubah, and I am currently the community manager at Consensus Mesh. I am also the social media team lead for the Open Source Festival that's currently going on. So all those fire tweets and reels that you see are actually coming from me. I recently got into this open source community managers program by GitHub. So over the next couple of months, I'm going to be working with an open source community called Open Terms Archive, and I'm going to be volunteering as their community manager for the next couple of months. It's actually an experience I'm very excited about. I haven't made a formal introduction about it yet. I haven't announced it. So all of you here are hearing about my announcement for the first time. Thank you very much. Thank you. So I'm going to give some context. I wish my slide was, it's not still up. I would have really loved to project so you all can follow me at once, but then let's continue, right? So some context. I am going to be drawing a lot of references from the community I manage at Veramo. So I'm going to quickly give just a little introduction about what we do. So as I mentioned, I'm a community manager at Consensus Mesh, and Consensus Mesh is a Web3 company that incubates and invests in Web3 startups, right? In Consensus Mesh, we have a research and development team. And in that team, we are basically making researches and trying to develop products, open source products that other Web3 organizations can use for free. So in the development unit, the research and development unit, we have teams working on state channels, working on zero knowledge, working on decentralized identity. This is the team I currently directly work with, the decentralized identity team. And we also have a team working on Web3 gaming. Now, at the team at Identity, we built a framework, an open source framework for decentralized identity developers to use to build decentralized identity applications, right? So this framework helps them to add decentralized identity and verifiable credentials into their applications. It's completely open source, it's modular, it's extensible, it's agnostic. So Veramo as an open source project is built by the community. And many of the references I'm going to be talking about regarding collaboration is going to be laying a lot of emphasis on how we operate as a community. So this is not where I am. Just move forward. Whoever is projecting, please move forward a bit. I'm currently in the definition of open collaboration. Open collaboration is any system of innovation or production that relies on goal-oriented yet loosely coordinated participants who interact to create a product. Please keep it moving a little bit. Yeah, this is where we are. So In this definition, there are some very key points that I highlighted. We have goal-oriented, yes, loosely coordinated. Open source communities are not rigid. They are not usually very rigid communities. The goal is there for sure, but then it's loose a little bit. And then they all come together, create a product, and this product is made available to everyone, whether you contributed or not. A lot of us here have used open source products that we never contributed to. In the food play analogy I just explained, I remember that when we finished cooking that food, even the children that didn't bring anything still ate with us. By the fact that they were there when the food was being made, they ate. So this is one beautiful thing about collaboration in open source community. At the end of the day, whether you contributed or you didn't, you are going to partake in whatever product that comes out of it. You can go to the next slide. So the benefits of collaboration in open source. So when people come together, like we have the Veramo community, a lot of people come together, the product is modular, it's extensible, people build on top of it, contribute back to it. So the benefits is now that we have improved innovation and creativity. There were many plugins, many things that have been added into the Veramo projects that were originally not there. But now, by the help of our community members, we have those plugins, those DID methods added into the project. We have faster development and problem solving. This is like very, very known. People solve problems in our community. You have a question, you ask, someone is always ready and willing to explain. We have increased trust and transparency. Because our project is open source, you're not afraid that we're going to siphon your details and upload in a certain server. The codes are there for you to see, right? Then we have broader adoption and support. People are very sure that there's nothing going to be like a vendor lock-in, or maybe tomorrow you monetize it and then you want to sell it to them. So they are very much happy to adopt your project into whatever they are building. And then we have enhanced learning and skills development. This usually comes to collaborators. If you're someone who contributes to open source, you're learning, you're improving, your skill set is increasing, and this is an advantage. I'm rushing a little bit because I want to really cover my entire slide. So when you're in an open source community, there are a lot of contributions, there are a lot of collaborations that you can do. A lot of us here have interest in contributing to open source communities, but maybe you don't even know how, or basically you only know of these first four, which is like the individual code contributors. This is the most known, the most rampant. People contribute by fixing bugs, reporting issues, reviewing PRs. This is just one. Then the next, you can go through the slides because it's like one point after the other. Then the next type of contribution you can see or collaboration is the partner contributions. In our community at Veramo, we have a lot of organizations who are adopting Veramo into their project, and in turn, they have their engineers working on the product as well, contributing back. So this is a form of collaboration as well. You have companies, of course, they want the open source project that they are relying on to thrive. They don't want it to disappear or go away one day, so they contribute back to you. So the next is documentation. This is for technical writers. You know how to write, or maybe you're working on the project and you realize that when you went to documentation, there was something that wasn't clear. You don't just only notify the team. You can tell them that you want to write about this so that the next contributor won't face the same blockades that you faced. I've been signaled that I have 5 minutes, so I'll rush this a little. So we have community advocacy. You are using an open source project. Have you talked about that open source project anywhere? Open source projects thrive and are very happy when people are adopting them. So when you use an open source project and you just look away or go away without amplifying their efforts, you're not helping. So if you want to contribute, you're very good at writing, you're good at generating user-generated content, you can advocate for that open source community. Let more people know about what they are doing. Go and start them on GitHub and amplify their products. And the next one here is community support. You have knowledge on some things, go answer questions, support others, onboard new members, show the new contributors how to scale up in their contributions. You have to run the slide fast because you weren't moving according to the points. So, so now that we are done with the types of collaborations, we are not actually done. There is another key collaboration type that I would have loved to mention, but he's not projecting, which is financial contributions. Open source communities need money to thrive. Sometimes these maintainers have those projects as their full-time project. In the Veramo team, we have full-time members, full-time staff working on that product, right? So we need financial contributions. Open source projects need that. And these financial contributions can form in form of grants. Some organizations like the Ethereum Foundation, the Cloud Native Foundation, I believe, all those organizations give grants to certain open source communities. I think GitHub also has something around that where they give something to open source communities as well. The next type of financial contribution is donations. Some individuals donate to open source communities. Even recurrently, every month, they send a certain amount of money to those open source communities. Sponsor their events like Open Source Community Africa events. You sponsor this event, is a type of collaboration. Then another way to collaborate is by participating in bug bounties. Once in a while, certain open source projects or communities run bug bounties. So in bug bounties, sometimes you get to hunt for bugs in an open source project because they want to make the project better, and they want everyone with their good eyes to check for those bugs, and they pay you in return. You get rewarded for it. So when you see opportunities to hunt for bugs in open source projects, please help them to make their projects better. So now this is for potential collaborators, right? Now, what do you as an open source community manager do to foster the collaboration that would happen? Because we have a role to play. I am an open source community manager and I have a role to play. So if you're here and you're also looking forward to being an open source community manager, this is your role now. So first, you have to define a common goal. Why is your community or your project existing in the first place? Like, why did you even create this? What problem is it solving? You have to communicate that goal to your community. They need to understand the problem your project is solving and that their contribution is actually worthwhile. Then secondly, be welcoming and inclusive. This is as clear as the day. You have to be welcoming, inclusive, diversity, equity, and inclusion, yeah. So provide documentation and resources. People shouldn't come to your community and get lost. They don't know what to do. They are lost. There are no documentations. There are no contribution guide or guidelines. The next one, they say my time is up, so I'm kind of rushing in now. So the next point is recognize and appreciate contributions to your project. At Veramo, we have a monthly contributor spotlight where we shout out. It mustn't be like something so huge. You don't need to buy them something that's too much that you can't be able to bear in your budget. Just make sure that you find a way in the things you do to appreciate the people who are contributing to your project. The next one is encouraging open communication. Everybody should be able to have a say in your roadmap, in the things you do. Make everybody have that sense of belonging. And then the last one, people love to be rewarded even financially. So if you can afford to, offer bounties and rewards to your community members. I'm going to close with this quote here, which says, collaboration is the heart of open source, where diverse minds come together to create something greater than the sum of its parts. I believe that if we all come together as individual contributors, as organizations, as whatever you are, whether as a maintainer, an open source community manager, if we all come together to collaborate in our open source communities, we are bound to build something that is way beyond us if we had decided to do it personally. And with this, I thank you all so much for joining my session. You can scan my QR code to connect with me on all platforms. Thank you all so much.